All right, and then I'll have my assistant connect with you about the recordings. But we're gonna first. You wanted me to do this. Do you ever feel like you have a motivation or something pushing you in a certain direction, and then you get some momentum going, maybe, and then for some reason you like forget or have an odd like coming to moment and feel like, what am I doing? Why am I here? What's going on? So I feel like there's a little bit of an attachment or some sort of some entity, I just feel, that's getting in the way of that clarity or that momentum from keeping up. I don't know if you've felt anything like that lately or not.
Um, in the past, I've always had some. I always want to get started with something new or try something different, and
Mhm.
then sometimes fear will hold me back. Um,
Yeah.
it's I don't know. Sometimes it's a failure to launch. Sometimes it's a I don't think it aligns with what I really want to do,
Right.
and then I
All,
rethink it.
mm. A lot of those scenarios are from this entity that's presenting the information to you, pushing your buttons, pulling your levers in such a way as to feed from you. It's not a good or a bad thing. I mean, not a good thing, but the situation can help you nonetheless, whether it's on this part of the path or that part of the path. Um, all,
So an
all,
entity, or do you mean um, human in the past or something else?
um, first I need to say that it isn't the most important thing to know about at this very moment. It's what your main guide is kind of say. He's like kind of with a half smile. Because you're the kind of person where it's like if you were Little Red Robin Hood, and then you finally discover the wolf and you see the teeth like snarling in front of you, you'll be like, "Do you use toothpaste?" And you'll like wonder that, like in that exact moment.
Yeah, I have a tendency to be impatient and want to
Yeah.
all the information now.
Well, you're afraid of making mistakes, that's for sure. There's an apprehension, but I feel like there is a entity around you. It's been around you for a while, and it kind of stokes that anxiety and that fear, and it feeds off of that. But because we're human, we have the volition, we have the strength, albeit it's not always easy to do it, but we do have the capability of choosing something different for ourselves, or better yet put contextually with you, would be walking through the discomfort and your fears despite them, because it's been kind of an easy, it's been a neural pathway that's been etched over and over and over and over. So the mechanism itself isn't a surprise anymore, that it just automatically, you automatically are in this kind of space, and then you redirect it here, or you redirect it there, instead of trying to um maybe look at it head on, because there's a bit of a block to receiving what you're deserving of. There's kind of a shame related emotion in there, and keeping eyes off me. That's what I hear. Like, I want eyes off me. You don't want, having
Judge,
too much of the,
judgment.
yeah, you don't want having too much of the wrong type of attention. But you're thinking this is like a young girl.
Yep. I've always been better at, I mean, going through the fire for other people, but not for myself.
Right. So there's some deep stuff here, but we're before we get into the healing, that's what I'm getting, is there's a bit of a reluctance, not just from you, but also from this entity that doesn't necessarily want to be removed, but there's things we can do about that, so don't worry about it. I'm just going to turn my fan down a little bit. So I was trying to light this tobacco in here, and it just wouldn't give to it. Wouldn't be the first time that something like that's happened. So was my main. Oh, thank you. I was reminded just now. Um, I've got a candle. I was going to use this anyway, but as you can see, I'm freshly back in the States, so I'm still unpacking things and stuff like that. But I'm trying to. I think I left a bowl in the Philippines, but I also had a really neat candle holder up here. I'll just we'll just hold it actually. Put it in the sleeve. This will work. Do you have the window open or any sort of like air flowing through?
I can open it. There's one right beside me.
I think, yeah, they're saying that'll help. You should do that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Mm.
I usually do have the window open when I meditate. I just didn't even think about it today.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really good thing. Just leave this like right here. Stay. I think I gotta turn this down one more notch. Right. I don't have air conditioning in this house, but I'm used to that because I just got back from the Philippines. So
Right.
I want to talk about real heat, but the dryness is something to get used to. It's very interesting. Okay, so did we go over any of this while we were, do we have I think, yeah, we did, didn't we? So this is just like last time. So I'm gonna have your palms facing up and then just rest them like that. And then we'll just get into it then.
Okay.
Oh, um, grant you safe passage there. I think we should choose safe passage. Grant you safe passage here. That's virtues of their relation. Grant you safe passage here. And so, what she would choose. Leave in the flesh. Choose. Cease to choose. Mm. 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 Oh, 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 oh. Oh, oh, oh. Molto Yashnai, Ilmanastuke Ashanti, Pasure Kanatale Begumburat, Markijuna Maisi Pukanchanti, Resala Terasa. Save message here. Actually, save message here. Mm. Some information. Maybe crystal. Mm. Mm. Ooh. I want you to open your eyes very, very slowly. Take your time. Come back to this space. I was being shown and told that for right now with you, less is more is applicable when it comes to this healing because you've already been continually processing what we started last weekend. And when I work with people one-on-one, we space them out every 2 weeks because that's about the sweet spot I've found between what the range of people I work with need for time to process and rearrange, I guess, sort of go through that segment of the healing, averages between 1 and 5 weeks. And so every 2 weeks is a good play by ear kind of duration. So um, they're telling me to explain it right now a little bit as it's in practice. So, for example, on our next meeting 2 weeks from now at the same time, which is always going to be our spot every 2 weeks, we will gauge, unless I'm told beforehand, if we are going to do like a big healing session on you, or sometimes no healing session on you, if you have a lot that's needed to have some help with when you're processing it. So every person's path can look different logistically. It can have different needs. and ways of achieving those needs and the hierarchy of them. So having said that, I feel like they want me to tell you this at this point now in our session, because you might be approaching it in a way of, I'd rather this just be fixed. I would just take an herb, a supplement, a pill, magic pill, if you would. I'm ready to do it. I don't care. So it's like, that's sort of the most accurate frame of mind I can see you in. And there's nothing wrong or right about that. But what you've been starting to go through in the past 3 days in particular has been kind of showing you that there's a new way to things. There's a new path to things. There's new possibilities, period. And getting over the hump of that. Because you've got some layers going on, but like I was referencing in the beginning of our session, I'm still getting it now too. It's like a little bit of a, am I good enough? But I want to be good enough, but I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be a target for anybody or anything. So you've got this weird kind of dichotomy that pushes and pulls, and it ends up doing it internally for you rather than externally, because you often never get to that step. It's like you have, your mind is like classic. My guys are showing me, it's like, you know how you have like a classic montage in a movie or a cartoon or something, and there's a writer or some creative type of person, they're trying to figure something out, and they have all these like crumpled up pieces of paper that could have been, should have been, would have been of their art, their music, their whatever they're trying to create, their poetry, their writing, and they're just like, no, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad. I feel like you do that a lot, so that your mind is filled with lots of would have beens. And many of them were perfectly fine, but it was like this degree of perfectionism that you were demanding of yourself and therefore other people in the most intimate of circumstances and settings with you, that kind of got in the way of a lot of different things. That's what it feels like to me. But you're on a very good start. And I know that when we met at the event and leading up to that, that you somehow knew this depth of work was kind of needed. But before we get into that, I want to hear a little bit from you, if you want to share, that is, about what it feels like, what it felt like for you to like make that connection, how spirit connected us, also what the healing feels like, because each person has very unique things for their soul that we're addressing. So there isn't much of a one size fits all approach that you can take to kind of talking about these things. So I always like to hear from my clients about what the experience is like for them, especially when it's like their first or second time experiencing.
I knew that I needed to dive a little deeper into trying to heal a bit. I don't know that I consciously think about um, what's happening. Like you said, for the last 3 days, there's been some stuff going on. I don't know that I consciously get that, um, that I feel it.
Hmm.
Um, it. Yeah, I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know if it's I work on it when I'm sleeping, or you know what I mean.
Well, I do, but you're at this part on your path where over the bridge is a land where you don't see this as a hindrance or a problem, but you see it as a solution and a blessing to yourself. But there's a transitionary period that takes you from A to B with that. You can look at it that way. Um, because what I get is I've always known you're extremely sensitive. So the dark side of that can sometimes look like knowing what you can't handle or perceiving what you can't handle ahead of yourself, and then safeguarding any possibilities that that would be a part on your path or you'd run into that. And that takes a lot of mental energy. And it holds yourself down. And because you do that, you when other people interact with you at chosen times, they feel like you're the heaviest anchor. And they try to lift up and like take with them on their vision of where things should go. I'm getting like daughter energy with that. I don't know if do you have a daughter?
I have two.
I feel like it's the oldest one who maybe challenges you the most with this. Because I kind of just feel like in general, from your perspective, you feel like she goes at a lot faster pace than is comfortable for you. And you're especially growing up with her, the dynamic between you two was a little bit of a struggle in at a certain point because she like you were trying to figure out how you could be mom, but without having to be something that you're not, while she doesn't exploit your weakness in a sense. Um,
Oh, she pushed every button that I have.
yeah, well, she was meant to do that. She did a great job, whether she realizes that was a role that she is meant to play. Um, but I mean, that's just like side conversation. We all have roles that we play, whether we are consciously aware of it, whether we're aiming for it or not. It just happens. But that's sort of like a secondary component of life itself. So they want me to clarify that before I go any further. Um, but so going back, I'm going to sneeze again. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Um, Going back to what we were talking about in the beginning with an entity, if you ever felt like heaviness or immobility, like you literally cannot move yourself in any way, shape, or form, mentally, even physically, sometimes, there was this entity that we acknowledged in the beginning that knows how to push certain buttons of anxiety within you, gets your head thinking about things that might be a little superfluous, but you're the one in charge of it, but you take suggestion so easily because of the sensitivity that you have when it comes to receiving messages in period. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. It's almost like your fear prevents you from filtering through what would otherwise be more true in your eyes. Wow, that kind of like rhymed in a weird way, like forwards and backwards too. Good thing I
So
good thing we
how
recorded.
long has this entity been with me?
23 years. Well, I usually don't start like an like the first of a series with like, hey, you got a demon on you, but because a lot of times it's addressed in a secondary or other way. It's not ever a primary thing because what we're literally doing with these sessions, it's not energy work, but it's soul work. So the soul is what drives the whole mechanism. It's the driver of the vehicle. So its logistics are a little bit different than with energy work when you're doing soul work. But because of the nature of the depth of what we get to with this, you're not by any means like someone like an outlier or anything. I've had more than a handful of people in a similar situation or have something like this as well. But you had one in particular that wished that it was wished that it okay, your guides wanted me to let you know about it. Because a lot of times I don't say everything of what I see or feel unless I'm like really guided to going there. Because there's a time and a place, right? And that's the same with information and healing and all this and all that. But especially in your process, because you're so sensitive, it's almost like less is more. Don't eat the whole elephant in one bite. They're stressing that the small bites that you take are so potent because you can digest it so much more efficiently. That's what it means to be sensitive. So a lot of times in your life, you felt like your sensitivity was your weakness. Well, sure, it might be, but it's also your strength in another light. And your guides want you to start seeing things in that other light as well, not just what you've always been seeing things through.
I have in the past, well, probably 2 to 3 years, um, battled various demon type things in my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't wake up feeling badly about it. Um, One I felt like wasn't for me, wasn't there for me, wasn't looking for me,
Mm.
was looking for someone else. And the other one was, I got rid of it. So that made me feel better when I woke up, and I'm like, well, that's gone, whatever that was.
Mm-hmm. There's an element in what can help you now at this very, like this particular step along your journey. It's centered around the theme of what is my volition? Rhetorical question I can ask you. What distinguishes what you want from what might not be you, or from what is wanted outside of you, and what roles can be played from that. See, the tricky part about this being an empath and being as sensitive as you are is that the reason we have a hard time seeing those boundaries is also part of the gift. That's how you can channel, because there are no boundaries. But at the same time, if you contemplate things too much, you can find yourself astray down certain estuaries of spirit that weren't necessarily meant for you. So it's all around the topic of volition. I think that's the best word for it that I'm hearing. It is volition, because it's a little bit about like or like what's perceived to be upward momentum, choice, and bravery, or like better word than bravery is integrity, like upholding what you choose. Because there's I'm sure this is the short description of what's been coming in the last like 20 seconds for you is probably bringing some stuff up as you think about that. Your guides want you to journal a little bit, just a little bit, only to what is satisfactory to you. If you want to write something down, when you have something that you experience, even if it's something like a dream, waking up in the middle of the night feeling oppressed, or if it's a thought that you have, or if it's a real nuts and bolts down to earth interaction with the real world, write anything down that you feel compelled to share, just for the point of it being shared. You have to start there, I think, because it's a bit of like the classic like wallflower, like the advantages of being a wallflower can sometimes get in the way of the advantages of the soul wanting to reach in another direction that the wallflower makes very difficult in attaining, because you've used this kind of like wallflower um, archetype to help you when you were younger escape what could have and likely would have been a lot of pain had you not seen that opportunity and acted accordingly. So you had a lot of instances of that when you were a kid, of like fight or flight survival mode, and it's been so etched and ingrained in you that it's almost comforting to be in a place where all you can do is lock up and
Yeah.
freeze. It's comforting because it's like, if I hold my breath long enough, and you've had circumstances show that in the immediate time that you have that anxiety, it can fix it. But as time goes on, it actually grows into a larger problem than it initially freaked you out about being. or becoming. So it's this very theme that's at the crossroads of you and the next step, we'll say, on your spiritual journey. So I'm here to assist you with that and to give you the tools and the help needed at just the right time and just the right frequency and dosage, we'll say, to to grow from this and to connect with what you truly want with your soul. Because your soul, I mean, anybody that connects with me in the way that you have, and there's lots of people, honestly. It's really weird, but it's amazing. And I I feel like I'm part of something bigger than myself, which is true as well. But um it's interesting how spirit connects us. Like you wouldn't believe, but you probably would. Um, so that can be proof enough. That's the proof in the pudding I'm hearing. It's proof enough that there's some that you do have volition, right? And that you're aiming for something or something that you sense and pick up with your sensitivity. You can't evade from, you can't lie to yourself about what you feel drawn to. You don't know why yet, exactly, but you feel really, really drawn to certain things. And so the healing that I provide and the healing that we're going to go forward with you is going to center directly on that immediately, is the feeling that I get. Um, so we'll take things one step at a time as needed. It's very common for clients down the road um, to not really be ready for another healing session. That might be something that comes up for you. It might look more regular and steady for you every 2 weeks, but maybe the healing is only 15 minutes or 10 minutes or something. I've had people like that as well. And then other times I've had people where the healing session takes up the entirety of our session. And that's fine too. Sometimes people really do need that. But that's the whole point, is we're going to keep it flexible enough for this to do what it is designed to do and do what it does well. So that's just a little bit.
I'm much better at knowing what I don't want versus what I do.
But what you do know evolves,
It,
becomes what you don't know anyway.
yeah,
And so there's a kind of insulation. It's an insular comfort you get from sort of not looking or turning over the stones that are really, really intriguing you. You've kind of learned how to keep that at bay so that you don't let your brain's firing initiate you to to react prematurely, like before. So I feel like that was a trauma that you incurred when you were younger about like being hurried because you naturally take a very long time compared to other people, I would say, to make decisions. So do I, because you have to consider a lot and then you're picking up on a lot. And when you're sensitive, there's just more material to sift through. A lot of people don't get that.
I can usually make decisions, but then I wonder if I made the right decision. And then I
Because
ruminate
you
on
were,
that probably too long.
because this is what a lot of people do. We do this to ourselves. We go at a different pace with our mind than what we set for our emotions. But here's the real trick thing, or not trick, but here's the truth of the matter. What we feel, at least for half of the population, cannot be something that can be worked with or manipulated or sectioned off, so to speak, like it's supposed to be, and it is an integral part of our experience. So it gets tricky sometimes when what popular culture may say, including the new age spiritual group of people, type of culture, um, it might not apply to you, or you might start to see things in a different light. Um,
I think I've always seen things a little differently, but
mm,
probably a little afraid that other people, there's so many people that don't believe in anything outside of themselves,
Mhm.
you know.
It's also because once you make that decision, there's no exit for you. There's no exit strategy. You kind of always want to have three exits to everything you choose to do. You're kind of like a cat, like the soul of a cat. You're like, can't be trapped. There's got to be at least one exit if things go south. That's that's definitely the energy here. Um,
Got to have a plan B.
right. But that's been stifling enough for you in life to culminate to this position that you're in that you used to just kind of ignore and now it's become untenable, where you've gotten to the extent you've reached out to spiritual help. You've been connected because you've been asking the universe, hey, I kind of want this, I need this. It was a long drawn out process for you because, like I said, you go on at a slower pace and you really want to know things. When you know things, you want to test the validity of what it is that you know so that it's like guaranteed what you know is what you know. um yeah, that's what's prevalent here. But they want you
Well,
to,
and when,
yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say
Go.
they want you to journal what you experience, what comes to you. Sky's the limit. Don't leave it off if it's significant to you, and you don't have to use fancy language. You don't have to even write it to be coherent, just to get it down on something so that you can look at it later, so to speak.
Okay.
Hmm?
I think getting to this point took me a while, and now I feel like my age is causing me to want to push forward quickly.
It's not your age, but it's the perception that time is running out.
Yes.
And it's a very, very common thing. In fact, tons of my clients are baby boomers. And I hear that from you guys all the time. But generally, what that is, in the most general sense, but it's profound nonetheless, is that you guys were raised by a largely shut off generation of people that were kind of shell shocked from what they went through and had a lot of emotional dysfunction. And so that's led to a lot of baby boomers like going through your lives and getting to a certain point and being like, well, is this can't be all that it is, right? Like what else is it? And reconnecting with that spirit, but then a feeling of shame comes up, and a feeling around the theme of worthiness comes up as well, and they blend together. And people usually go like, oh God, I'm 78, I'm whatever. You can even do it in your 30s. There's people that bitch and moan about this in my own age group too. When I talk with people, it's like, oh God, I'm 36, I can't do this. And it's like, I see what your point is, but we, that's significant in people, and that's a symptom of what our anxiety and fear is really rooted in. But it takes a process to really get into that. Like, to really, really get into that, it takes a process to get into that. um but there's some of that flavor here, and that doesn't surprise me that you'll say something like that. I'm thinking of immediately like three, four other clients of mine who say such similar things. They're like, oh, but my age, or I'm too old, or I'm insert this number, insert that number. Time is relevant. So we only perceive time based off of what we're experiencing and how time relates to that experience. That's why we can be bored. That's why we can feel like time just whizzes right past us when we're in a good space, when we're in a good place in our lives and our hearts and minds. So spirit, your team of guides want you to kind of look at that as a theme. They want you to pick at that, because I feel like that's an uncharted territory for you to really dive into that topic. So I even forgot it. I'm on a roll today. Like, a lot of the stuff I'm channeling for you, I am instantly forgetting it. And that's not typical, actually. because I work with thousands of people, I usually like it fizzles out, or it, you know, I keep myself, I have a very particular way that I channel and my logistics to it. But for you, it's happened. It's like boom, 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 boom. It's like we're at a delicatessen and they're cutting slabs of meat, and it's like, here's your salami, here's your pepperoni, here's your prosciutto. And it's like, oh, one order that, one order that. It's kind of cut and dry, and here you go. And then as soon as we leave the counter, it's like someone who's behind us is already going up on the ticket. It's interesting. So I hope you're listening here. I hope you're hearing what I'm saying, and I hope it makes sense. And yet another, exhibit B, why we get a lot of value from these recordings too. Um,
Oh yeah, because I have a tendency to forget some things too. And then
mhm,
sometimes they'll come up later and I'll be, oh yeah, we did talk about that. And
mhm,
sometimes it's just gone. So I really would like to, go back and take a look at it.
mhm. But there's a notion under the idea of retention itself as well, which is hiding in there. It's like this thing that entices you to say like, oh, I really, really need this. Why? So that something can be preserved, or something can be retained, or something can, that my volition, my, i.e., say on something, my control over something, or my perceived control over something allows me to act in a way that can yield results that are predictable. That's what I like. That's what I want to aim for. It's like sometimes you do have that aim, which isn't bad or anything, but it's like I feel like that's at odds with what your heart really wants and what your soul is yearning for. But there's an anxiety knowing that there's a certain incompatibility with, let's just call it, the needs of the mind at as it is currently, or the perceived complete list of needs that the mind wants to have placated in order to feel comfortable, or whatever, that is up for revision. Wow, it's going a lot of places here. I hope this is making sense, because like I'm getting a lot all at once with you, and I'm trying to keep it coherent for what I'm getting, but I'm getting like four things at a time on average. But
Um,
they want me
that
to
might
mention,
be
yeah, go ahead.
my squirrel. I have like a squirrel brain and like uh,
Well,
things coming in
what
all
I
at
get,
once.
what I get is it's not that it's our brains, it's that we are so receptive to things. And there's a reason that my guides have wanted me to kind of market myself, if you want to call it, that I am a psychic for psychic, a healer for healers, a sensitive for sensitives. People that I work with, the specialization that I work with, which is just kind of like landed in my lap and kind of just grown from this as a natural process, has always been people who have abilities themselves that need a little bit of that. Like there's certain things that we can help with because we're on the same page, or we understand each other in a certain intrinsic way. There's always an element of that with it too, but it's like sometimes that sense can overpower any construct in the mind, no matter how airtight it might seem, that will still just kind of itch at that. And you'll kind of go like, well, that's why you'll revisit things that you think you made your mind up on. You're like, well, maybe I've seen it a different way or whatever. And sometimes that comes from your mind itself, but a lot of times lately it's actually coming from the volition of your soul telling you, hey, don't drop this thing, whatever you dropped. Like there's something here that you want to see as true, or that you were starting to process, but because of reason ABCXYZ, you decided to like throw it down and just hurry yourself along the path. You do that a lot. It's like you push yourself forward preemptively, afraid about what might happen if you begin to straggle behind. That's that's what the fear is. But it's not literally that, I don't think. I think, but that illustration of it talks exactly about what it feels like um to go through whatever pattern this is. But interesting. You're gonna get a lot of clarity coming to you in the next 7 days exactly. And having the journal around or having some form of paper or something that you can record your thoughts down is going to be really, really helpful for us next time.
Okay.
Because you'll be able to contextualize a lot of what was said in this recording. And I want you to revisit this recording. I'm going to reach out to my assistant, Ika. She's also my wife, but she's my assistant.
Right.
But she's been doing a really good job at these lately. We are like polishing up some of the videos here, just like packaging it so that you have access to it. We upload them to YouTube and then give you the link to that. It's the easiest that we've figured out so far because the files can be really, really big. But we should have that up for you to review pretty soon. Is there anything that you want to ask or tinge on? That was a
The
big
only
bite. They don't want to overwhelm you either, though.
No, I've been told for a long time that I need to journal or automatic writing or breath work. There's those three things that keep coming up.
You see,
Um,
it's not for the material that you're gonna push out, which is what you're kind of worried about and what you're aiming for. You're like, it's almost like I gotta be good enough. The product has to be good enough to be acceptable, to be useful, so that it's not a waste and that I don't get caught behind. It's like this kind of feeling. So that's why you kind of like want to fling whatever perfectionism you have in any project that comes your way. But it's like you end up abandoning a lot of projects because you're like, if I can't make it perfectly, then what's the point of making it at all? Like
yeah.
it's a serious impediment because it prevents true artistry and true magic from emerging within you and for you in your life. Because when you're so
So
restrictive, you're putting blinders on to such an extent that you're actually projecting your life forward in the way that you're like, hey, I don't want it to go this way. I really don't want it to go this way because what you're seeing with your hyper focused goggles, so to speak.
yeah. um, I've tried to dream journal, and the problem is that I am up often during the night. I have some bladder cystitis issues, so when I wake up, I gotta get up immediately and go to the bathroom. By
That's
the
related to
time
fear, by the way.
I say that again,
That's related to fear. In Chinese medicine, which I read, and I do actually, I don't really market it to people unless it comes up, but it's interesting because fear is connected with the kidney channel and the bladder channel, kidney and bladder, and they're uniquely connected to what you might call like the root chakra.
mhm.
And it's just there you have it. You've talking about how you have issues with that, and we're talking about fear. Um,
Oh yeah, and kidney stones. But usually, what happens is I'll wake up and I'll know that I have had a dream. I want to remember it, but by the time I get in the bathroom, it's gone.
yeah. So two solutions. When you're journaling, don't ever write a dream as a form of journaling. It's too much material. You're not gonna get it all down in time. So for dreams, what I do is I literally just record it on an app on my phone, which is like a voice recorder. Super simple, easy to use. It's like start stop button. I can show you where to download it if you're interested in something like that. I have it for myself because I also get like epic sagas that there's no way I could write it fast enough to get it down on the page before it's melted away.
Yep, that's what happens to me too.
Mhm.
I've thought about getting one of those little recorder things, but I'm like, do I really need another thing to
You
carry
don't
around, a
need it.
tool?
It would help, but you don't, you're right. There's an app on your phone that does the exact same thing that you
And
can,
that would be better.
yeah, it's called voice recorder. It's got a white and red icon on it.
Okay,
That's the best one. This one I've been using. It has some ads. They're not that annoying, but it's truly free and it's
okay,
extremely simple to use. And it's a very small app. It doesn't hog up a lot of space or do anything extra that it doesn't need to do. That's why I use it. Um, Well, I was gonna say something else. Anyway, yeah, I gotta get going, I think. I'm getting the notification from my guides. They're like waving me down and being like, check the time. Um, but yeah, that would be a great place to, that would be a good thing to do, is to get something physical to write down. And now less is more, okay? For the actual journaling, when you have a thought, when you have an inspiration, you have something that is significant to you, positive or negative, list everything, but do it in simple ways. You can even draw a picture of it. You don't even have to use words. You don't have to use complicated sentences. You can just write it down how you want to write it down. And I feel like we'll have some material to go through. There'll be some things that connect in meaningful ways.
Okay.
Um, but it is definitely something in the mix of what we're trying to help you with too, because you've got this block in there about like not being worthy enough. It's what perfectionism is all about. And this is something personal to me because I've been through this a lot of my own journey, um, where there were many chapters about this exactly. Um, it has a lot to do with our upbringing and our abilities and what type of life was meant to initiate us. It's a good word for it,
Right.
because you've been through some stuff, you've been through a lot, so it wasn't just for nothing. So that's kind of where we're gonna bite into, where the apple is right now. But we don't want to eat. It's like an elephant-sized apple that continues growing. No, you don't want to ever try to swallow the whole thing at once, unless you've got a really big applesauce machine, applesauce making machine, or whatever it would be.
Yep.
I'm reminded, I used to juice farm apples from my buddies who would give me bushels and bushels and bushels of them, just baskets of apples from their orchards. And I don't know why, that just hit me right there. Apples.
I have apples here. I make apple butter and all kinds of stuff. So
Mm. And there's something really, I don't even like apples, but there is something very, very special about like a crab apple tree or just some unfucked with green or red apple tree that's just doing its thing,
yep.
there's, because I had a tail end of that when I was growing up as a kid. And then after, my sisters after me were sort of purely just 90s and early 2000s children. So they kind of missed that tail end of it. Because I still had a chance to grow up in the 80s as well as the 90s. And so I remember um, going to grandpa's, my mom's parents, and he used to have stuff like that readily available everywhere. And I don't think it's just the nostalgia. It's definitely something was more nutritious or flavorful back then
Yeah.
with things. I even noticed in 1993 when McDonald's started, um, well, I only learned retroactively, like now as an adult, but when I was about 5, 6 years old, I remember distinctly going to a McDonald's with my parents, and then I took a bite of the fries. I looked at mom and I was like, something's wrong with these. These are icky. They're yucky. And she's like, what are you talking about? They're a normal fry, and kept going through. Well, lo and behold, guess what? That exact year is when McDonald's changed their fry oil from just straight beef tallow, which is what they had always done for years and years. And they created that chemical concoction of all that weird crap. And then introduced partially hydrogenated soybean oil. So it's I don't know why I'm bringing that up, but sometimes as you embark on this journey, certain things start to make connections, but they need the proper process to unveil it. It's kind of like you can't rush a lotus flower from blooming. It's
Yeah.
in between the flower being fully open to the flower being just a bud. It's a necessary part of the process.
I truly enjoy nature in general anyway. So
Mm, me too.
watching things grow and then producing things with it after it's finished is, I enjoy that. I've always kind of done that as a kid. My family farmed
Mhm.
and we were around
Do you want to know a big
my,
component why that feels so refreshing? Because plants are never going to critique you on whether or not you make it or break it, if it's 95%, if it's 5%, if it's passing or failing, if it's acceptable, if it's dangerous or not. They're always safe. They're always
yeah,
inviting, and they're patient, and they're very communicative for those who are receptive to them, but they're never overbearing in the way that I'm being shown, in the way that like mammalian life can be, but it's more than just mammalian life. It's like things that move zoology, the there's the plants and the animals. They're like showing me that life.
well, and there's a certain amount of, I think, creativity that comes with, cooking and canning and gardening and all that kind of stuff.
Is it, here's a rhetorical question. Is it creativity, or is it really just the universe whispering to you? And because,
Probably both.
yeah, well, it's like saying, did the chicken or the egg come first? Because when we're talking about this topic, it's usually like we're looking at both ends to one thing that connects all together.
I always say that I put seasoning in things until the ancestors tell me to quit.
You put seasoning in things.
Yeah, when I cook, I season things by,
Oh, literally.
yeah, I don't
Like,
measure.
tell me when. Tell me when you want it. The salt. It's keeps
That's
coming.
exactly.
Yeah.
So when the ancestors tell me to quit, then I quit.
Hmm. Yeah, there's real validity to that. But you, where you're at right now, you're opening not just, you're not just opening up the path into your, like, what your ancestors are about in your body and your physical and mental manifestations, and what, what kind of lives you're meant to live, but also, oh man, I'm getting so much with you. I lose it so quick. That's not typical. It literally just got yanked out of my head right there as I was explaining it. Anyway, the overarching message I'm getting is like what we were talking about before. Don't eat the whole elephant in one bite. Trust the process. Things are going to unfold. You're going to start to be revealed things and know things and process things in the divine time they're meant to. And oftentimes it might not necessarily feel like that as it's happening, or before you see things as such looking back at events, but they're assuring you that it is that way nonetheless.
Okay.
That this, there's a lot of components to this right now. So whatever I might not pick up on right now, we'll pick up on it later when it needs to be heard, or you're going to pick up on it. Or, sometimes the magic is needed. Sometimes the breadcrumbs are needed so that you can start collecting the breadcrumbs, which will lead you to what the next step will be. Sometimes, like I don't always get the memo.
Yeah.
I'm sometimes I purposely don't, so that I have to play a specific role in my client's life at that moment, and then just go with what is being ushered onto us right now. What's being how would you say, what's being what's finding us, and why, what's coming to us, how we're connect. So awesome session.
Yeah.
Got into the meat and potatoes and the gravy and all that. Try to get a piece of paper or something to write things down, and then I will message you the name of that app if you want to look for it on the marketplace, and then be on
Okay.
the lookout for a follow-up email for this recording. And then we'll meet again in another 2 weeks to sort of assess what you've processed, what you're processing. And if you have any other like little questions until then, shoot me an email. I'm here for you. So
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, thank you. Many
Thank
blessings.
you. Appreciate it.
Have a good night. Till next
You
time.
too. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.